Hey, my name's Zach, and in this video I'm going to show you how I helped an online Korean teacher make $7,782 in just 35 days while also gaining 56 hours of her time back in that month. I'm going to take you through before we started, what that situation looked like, and then the 8-step process of what we did to actually achieve that end result, money and time. And then we're going to recap everything and then talk about kind of the next steps that me and this teacher, her name is Sung Hee, are going to be taking or thinking about taking moving forward. So before we started, Sung Hee's only active social media channel was Instagram. So she had 25,600 followers. You can see right here. She had her online school community, which was at 250 members at the time we started working together. And I'll get into more about what school is in just a second. The time that she was working was 80 plus hours on calls per month, on just calls, not taking into account the preparation it took for each of those calls, right? So if we just imagine that it just takes 1 hour to prepare for each call, that's a ton of hours just straight up on Zoom and then doing work preparing for the calls, not even doing anything else, not taking into consideration content creation, planning for the future, anything like that. So what was she selling? She was selling a $25 a month paid school community. So if you were a member of her group, past a certain point when she made it paid, you had to pay $25 a month to be a part of the group. She was selling a group cohort. She had a group cohort of that was more focused on more of a specific transformation and had an end date. It was 6 weeks and had 13 students. And she was doing some one-to-ones with some students that she was working with for a long time, almost a year at that point. And she was doing that for a really low hourly rate, which is definitely under $70 an hour. This is a screenshot of her calendar that she had at the end of June. She was in a situation where she was overworked, underpaid, and stuck in an hourly grind. I mean, this was a little different than maybe typical language teachers. Most language teachers work one-on-one with a ton of people at once, but this is almost the same thing. She had a ton of students. All these classes were very much just group classes and just so many times per week just on Zoom in front of the camera. So that was the before situation. So step one, the first thing that we did when we started to work together was work on freeing up her time. That's so many calls per month. We really wanted to get her out of that situation so she could actually make bigger moves to scale her business. So she was on all of her lessons calls on a platform called School, right here, that's in the calendar. And real quick, just to show you what School is. School is an online community platform. It's basically a place where you can host a community, you can host courses, and you can host live calls all in the same place. And it goes much more than that, but that's just a very, very basic gist of it. I think School is really awesome. People in the past have had to use many different platforms and pay for many different platforms to host their online coaching, online programs. But with School, it basically gives you an option to do it all in one. So really cool that Sung Hee was doing this, but just the model was a little off with how she was running her lessons. All right, so her stats when we started were that she had 250 members in her group. Only 50 of those were paying though, because she started her community free at first, then switched to paid, and then 50 people joined at $25 a month. And she was doing 20 hours of calls per week. So we actually made her community free. How we did that was we removed all the group lessons. So now people in her group were not getting any personal lessons, any personal teaching lessons from her. We refunded every paying member of the group. So all the 50 people who paid either annually or paid month to month, refunded them all for the last month or however much money they had back in their annual for that. And we announced the new positioning of the community as a free community, which I'll show you how we did that in just a second. Why do we even do this? Why do we take her model that was making like 95% of her money and just make it go to zero? Well, we wanted to do this because she told me her income goal was 5 figures a month. So with this model she was currently running, she had 50 people paying $25 every single month to be a part of her classes. She would have to sell around 400 people to reach $10,000, 400 new people, and keep them every month, which is really hard to do, and work a crazy amount of hours, extra hours that she probably wouldn't even be able to have. And at some point, there's just not enough hours in a month, right? In a month to even add that many calls to service them. So we decided this model wasn't right for her situation. And so we relaunched the community as free with a new positioning, just a place to hang out. So before it was, hey, join the community for lessons with Sung Hee to learn Korean. And now it's much more so, hey, join the community to meet other Korean learners, to hang out with other Korean learners and share your passion for Korean learning. Now the calendar actually only has 2 calls a month, which is big. And these calls are really focused on just meeting others, hanging out with others, practicing your Korean with others. And yes, Sunghee might throw in some, some insights and tips, of course, but it's really more so based on bonding, getting to know each other, and connecting. And so the result of that was that we freed up 80 plus hours in her month so that we could have space to rebuild her offer. And if you're a language teacher watching this with a ton of students who are paying one-to-one or a group classes that you're getting a low rate for, and you're wondering, how can I tell people how I'm going to raise my prices? How do I transition them over? I'm gonna get into that in step 3. That might serve as some inspiration to you. But just for the announcement that we did for the school community, you can pause the video here. I'm just gonna scroll and show you what the post Sunghee made, that we made together, to kind of announce that we're taking a different step. We're going to step into a different direction. All right, so now we're on to step 2. We redid the offer and we redid the pricing. Here's what we changed about what Sunghee was offering. We started selling a group cohort. Another group cohort, I did mention that she had one already that she was doing by the time I was working with her. And this new one was going to be like a level 2 of that. So all the members in there were kind of like level 1. This served as like the next step. So this new group cohort was more based around a specific transformation. It was more based on becoming confident in Korean, which we defined as not hesitating or not pausing during conversations with native speakers. So anybody who wanted to work towards that, this was for them. This was going to be a 6-week cohort, had 6 spots, and each spot costed $647 per person. 1 call a week plus a ton of support. We also decided to start selling one-to-one coaching. So we chose, this was going to vary between with each person that eventually took this, but we actually mostly was 8 weeks coaching, defined time period, not working with you for a package of 4 lessons, 1 lesson on, we'll try a lesson, not a package of like 6 lessons. No, this was a defined period of time to reach a specific goal, which I'll get into a little more in a sec, later in this video. And the price that we wanted to sell this for was $1,300. $1,300 for 8 weeks of coaching. Now, let's get into the pricing. So this is a step that might be the biggest aha moment if you're a language teacher watching, doing hourly pricing, or if you're somebody watching who's doing services based on the hour. So we stopped doing the hourly lessons that we were doing. We stopped selling cheap packages, and we started charging by the outcome. So what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is charging by the result that the student was going to get by the end of their time working with Sunghee. So we realized, all right, each student that Sunghee is working with has a certain vision or a dream result of what success in learning Korean look like for them. So for example, somebody might want to learn Korean, but to be able to talk with their Korean parents, to have deeper conversations, and talk about parenting with other 40-year-old Koreans. Each person had a reason why learning Korean was important to them, right? So for this example, to keep it in the same vein, the reason why a person might want to achieve this result right here that I'm highlighting is to gain a closer relationship with their parents, to have more Korean mom friends. And each student also had certain problems, individual problems that were getting in the way of achieving their success. So for example, this person lacks accountability. She wanted to have a native to correct her pronunciation of phrases, and she was struggling because she had no roadmap of progression. And this is a real example. This is a real situation of someone who Sunghee is now working one-on-one with. Once we understood all of this from the students, we got the information for us to know how to serve them in the best way possible and how to communicate the fact that Sunghee was the best choice to get them to their dream outcome, the best Korean teacher possible for them. In step 4, we're going to figure out the process of how we did that. How we actually found out this information from the students and went from getting that information to making an offer specifically for them and then selling it to them. I just want to note something really quick. And so with the group cohort offer and the one-on-one offer that we were running, this is running 2 offers at the same time. And the reason why we chose to do 2 offers at the same time is because we actually asked Sunghee's level 1 group cohort that she was already working with what they wanted next, what they wanted to see next, if one-on-one was better for them, if another group cohort might be better, and a lot of them said group cohort. So we decided to do that because we thought, let's just give the customers what they want. So this is just me pointing out that I don't think running 2 offers at the same time is like the way. I don't think this is some special tactic that like this is the reason why we got our success. I just want to go over some pros and cons that I noticed by running both these offers at the same time. So hopefully it might be helpful to some of you watching. So here's what I noticed about the one-on-ones. The pros for the one-on-ones for the one-on-one offer was that we could charge the highest because the solution that we were providing was completely personal to the customer. We could offer the highest level of support. I mean, it's literally one-on-one. It's just super personalized, just a Korean teacher, native Korean teacher with years of experience and thousands of students helping you and you alone. That's really big. The cons for us offering one-to-one, none. Absolutely zero cons. This would be a con if, for example, we're at a point where we reach capacity. This would be a con, in my opinion, if we were to reach capacity. Let's say she had like 15 students she was working with one-on-one, not enough time to deliver, not enough time to provide as much in-depth support. And this is when I'd be like, okay, well, something has to change about the model we're running. And maybe worth doing group classes or a community or something like this. But we did not have that problem. This is us going. We did not have that problem. For example, we didn't have that problem. Before, it was actually a ton of people at once, right? Paying a very low amount, but now we switched to a very low amount of students. So before, like for example, before it was Sung-hee working with a ton of students at the same time, paying her a very small amount each, and now we just moved to a model where we had a very low amount of students paying her a really high amount, more money than she was making from this model over here. So it was a really good situation. Now, when it came to selling the group offer, the pro was, okay, we can service multiple people at the same time. This is really great. It doesn't take 6 calls to service 6 people in this group. It just takes 1 call because they're all on the same call at the same time. Here are the cons that we noticed. With a group offer, we have to find multiple people at the same exact level. No one too advanced and no one too low skill. Everybody has to be kind of just right. We also had to find people with the same exact goal. So even if they were still in the same level that we kind of liked, we had to find people that agreed, that wanted to chase that same transformation that I said earlier. Speaking Korean with confidence, without hesitations or pausing with a native speaker in conversation. So finding people with the exact same goal was really crucial. That resonated with them. And number 3, we had to find people who could all meet at the same exact time. This is a big thing, right? I mean, this cuts off at least one time zone of people between US, Europe, and Asia. So yeah, Sung-hee, we decided to target Europe and USA. And that made it tough. To have all these factors line up, it's just way harder to find the right fit of people. It was way harder for us. And so to have all those factors line up, it was way harder for us to find these right fit of people, which with one-on-one, none of those factors would matter because it's completely individualized to you. Sung-hee was able to meet with them at any time that they wanted, that worked with Sung-hee's schedule as well, way more flexible in that sense. All right. And before we get going on to the actual, and so at this point, we changed the community, we got clear on what we were going to sell, and then now what we had to do was actually let the one-on-ones and kind of the group classes that Sung-hee was doing off the platform of school about the price increase, about where she was going to take her services in the future. So I feel like this, if you're a language teacher wondering if you might make a switch like this, I feel like this part of the video might be really, really applicable to you, and hopefully it serves as an inspiration. So we sent a price raise letter message to these previous students about raising the price and what that meant for them. And I'm not going to show you the exact message that we sent because it's personal. It has some personal details in it. But I'm going to show you the format that we modeled the letter off of. And this format is actually by Alex Hormozi. It's his price raise letter. You can even see him go over it more in depth if you search Alex Hormozi price raise letter on YouTube. But I'm just going to go over it for you guys here. All right, so the first thing we put in this price raise letter, the first thing we wrote down was hi, name. And then after that, it was the reason why we're sending the letter in the first place. Hope you're well. A lot of good things are happening right now. We're growing. The school community is growing. We're doing X amount of classes per week. As Sung-hee was doing like 1 million classes per week. Number 2, after that, we mentioned in the next paragraph what we're currently doing. What we're currently doing right now with each other is, we're offering weekly classes. We're offering in-depth pronunciation feedback. We're offering a weekly progression roadmap, something like this, all the features. And so we didn't hold back here. We really made sure to list everything that Sung-hee was offering. So we noticed that most of the people actually only really cared about maybe 3 or 4 core features from Sung-hee's service. But even the ones they didn't use, we just wanted to include literally everything to show them, to remind them of everything they're already paying for, to really encapsulate the value that they're getting. So number 3, the third paragraph in the letter was telling them what we want to do in the future. We told them, we really want to level up. We really want to level up the services of Sung-hee's teaching. And with that, we told them about features that are coming up, that Seonghee is planning for in the near future. So for example, like feature one, like we really want to bring on way better, improved customer service. We want to bring on custom passive immersion audio to every student. We want to bring on in-depth 24, like basically all day feedback to your phrasing questions, to your, like how natural you sound to these questions. We want to provide that level of individualized service to you. And the reason why we told them about what we want to do in the future is because we wanted to let them know the goals of the business and how and what benefits those new goals and features would bring the customers. Because of course we want to mention things that would actually, help them and things that they would find value and positivity in. The fourth thing that we included in this letter were the increase in price, but we also wanted to do it in a way that we could tie the increase in features that we just went over in step 3 and the increase in price with Seonghee's values. This was important to us because first and foremost, this is true. I mean, Seonghee really wanted to upgrade her services to figure out how she can serve her students even better. So with those values, we made a paragraph that had these components in it. I have made this promise to you of being XYZ teacher. I made this promise to you of being an amazing, hands-on, incredible Korean teacher. But I can no longer keep that promise to you unless we do the features that we just went over in step 3. We did XYZ features unless we do those things. And I can't say that I'm being the best Korean teacher and I'm one of the best Korean teachers online unless we do these things, because these are now the goals that I've realized I need to reach. These are now the things I realize I need to provide in order to match my standard of service. And then tell them at the end, and the only way I can do XYZ things, the only way I can bring on these features to help you the most is if we have a corresponding increase in price. Why do we include this in the price letter? Because we wanted to justify the new pricing. We didn't want to just say, hey, it's a new price, everything's the same. Like, I don't think that would have done well. The way we framed it like this, I think it's important, because if we framed it like this, no one could really tell us like, oh, that's wrong, or that's totally not correct, because at the end of the day, it's just generally how Seonghee felt, and nobody can really tell Seonghee how she feels, So that's why we framed it like that. So nobody could really take that away. As far as the price, after we say, we have a corresponding increase in price, then we drop the price increase. We wanted to make sure we made sure we communicated the price in a light way. So instead of saying it's going to be an extra, let's keep for simple number's sake, it's going to be an extra $1,000, or it's going to be an extra $2,000. We wanted to say something like, it's going to be an extra X amount of dollars per week. And that's what we did. We said something that was along the lines of, it's going to be an extra X amount of dollars per week. We did the per week example. We did contemplate, it's going to be an extra X amount of dollars per month, per day. And for those watching this who might take some inspiration from this, doing it by day or month like that might make more sense for you or how you run your business, but we decided per week. And the reason why we did this, why we wanted to communicate the price in the light way, is because we wanted to reduce the shock of the price as much as possible. And to top the letter off, we added a PS statement. So this PS statement included the following: if this price change is going to be way too much for you, if it's going to cause you to not be able to buy groceries, then let me know privately and let's hop on a call and figure something out. Just want to say that's not at all exactly what we wrote, but that's how I wanted to form it here, just so it can be very clear on like kind of the wording for this letter. It's like basically it's this: if you're not going to be able to have this expense and balance it with your other expenses that you have in your life, then let me know privately so we can have a discussion about this and see if we can figure something out that works for both of us. And that was really the whole reason why we wanted to do that, was because we wanted to open the door for discussion with these customers who really truly felt like this price increase was going to be like, okay, like, whoa, that's way too much for me. To instead have them be like, no, I'm good, and then just have them churn out and cancel right there, to actually just at least give them the opportunity, present them like, okay, maybe we can figure something out with Seonghee. Maybe we can figure out something special here that works for both of us. So what we did was we did it by email. We sent an email for this, and then also we did it on call. So Seonghee had a couple students that she was working very closely with for a long time, almost a year, and that she already built a great relationship with. So she actually ended up telling this information, this news to them over an actual call, face to face, because she felt like that was going to be the most respectful for these types of students that she already built such a strong relationship with. So we did it with call and email, and then even looking back, what if I could go back in time and do this again, I might even recommend that Seonghee does by email, but also attaches something like maybe a video message to add that level of personability. So everybody's seeing her face, actually relaying this information. All right, so now that we got that out of the way, we now have reset the community. We got our offers set up. We have let our customers know, our current customers know about the price increase. And then now we moved on to building proof, getting testimonials. We realized we needed new, powerful, compelling testimonials from current students and previous students. All right, so this is how we did it. We did it in two ways. The first way being holding success interviews. So this entailed Sung-Hee getting on Zoom with her best students. So to get on Zoom with her best students, we sent them a message, would you like to hop on a call to talk about your experience in learning Korean with me so far? I'd love to talk to you also about how I can make the experience better for you as well. So it wasn't just a, hey, can you please, help me out, talk through your experience, but it was more of like a win-win. Like, I want to ask you how I can make this experience better for you so I can improve my services. So we got them on Zoom and asked them structured questions to show the students before and after journey. And so I'm gonna bring you through the questions we actually ran each student through on Zoom. So this is the doc of the questions that literally Sung-Hee, starts the Zoom meeting with the student. She hits record to record the meeting, which is really important because we're gonna need the recording for later. And she ran each student through these questions in order, just going top to bottom. So this interview is sectioned into 3 parts: the before, the decision point, and the after working with Sung-Hee. And this was designed with the intent of being able to give people a full visual of not just, what happened after, like what can I do now, but really the full visual of where the student was at before they started working with Sung-Hee, mentally and with their actual ability to speak Korean, what actually made them decide to start working with Sung-Hee in the first place, and then at the end, what they can do now with their new ability after working with Sung-Hee. So I'm just gonna scroll through this pretty quick. Before working with Sung-Hee, how are you feeling about your Korean progress? How's that impacting your confidence in speaking and learning Korean? External facts and stats. What did your Korean practice look like before working with Sung-Hee? How often were you speaking Korean before working with Sung-Hee? And before working with Sung-Hee, what would have others said about your Korean speaking ability? What would your friends say about it? What would your family say about how well you could speak Korean? After that, we moved to the decision point of this framework. So we asked them, what made you decide to actually take that next step and start working with Sung-Hee? And internally asking them, did you have any concerns before working with Sung-Hee? Was there any that made you almost not join? And if they did, the turning point question, which was, okay, so despite those concerns, or if there were any concerns, what made you decide to join anyways? So finally, the results section, the after part, which was, what are you able to do now in Korean that you couldn't do before after working with Sung-Hee? What's the biggest win you've had since working with Sung-Hee? And what are others in your life saying about your Korean now? So this could be friends, family, or people they talk online with in Korean. Final 2 questions were, how does your new Korean ability make you feel? How do you feel about that with your new result, your new ability? And then, cherry on top, what would you say to someone on the fence of working with Sung-Hee? What would you say to someone who's considering working with Sung-Hee but isn't quite sure yet? Then after that, all I did was I took the recordings of each meeting, I chopped them up into the part 1, part 2, part 3, and then we had an epic testimonial that gave the full visual journey of before working with Sung-Hee to after. And the reason why I thought this was so powerful was because I'm thinking of myself deciding of whether or not I want to work with Sung-Hee because I want to improve my Korean. Okay, well, if I see a testimonial like this is basically me watching a student who is talking about their point before working with Sung-Hee, which is literally where I am right now, and talking about going through from before to, I don't know if I'm gonna join, I'm gonna join, and then seeing their results after. And now, because I joined, I did X, Y, Z. If I'm watching someone who, is just like me go through that and tell me their story, I'm gonna be way more compelled to envision that, oh my gosh, that's gonna be for me. That could be exactly like how it could be for me if I decided to work with Sung-Hee. It did take longer for us to get those testimonials, to set up a meeting, run an interview, edit them together, but I thought it was really worth it to get really compelling testimonials. And for those who couldn't get on Zoom meeting, it was all good. We really encouraged them to send a video testimonial in. So we actually gave them 5 simple guiding questions for them to answer. We gave them, before working with me, what challenges were you facing? Why did you decide to work with me? What results did you get? What can you do now with Korean that you couldn't do before? And what would you say to someone who's considering working with me but isn't quite sure yet? So kind of the same visual journey, right? But just in 5-question form. I really liked this structure just because I feel like it really made it easy for past and current students to record their testimonials. We didn't want to just ask somebody, hey, film a testimonial, and then be like, okay, and then set up a camera and then not know exactly what to say, because a lot of people might not even know where to start. So we just wanted to make this process as simple as possible for them. Like, hey, please send us a video, vertical, preferably horizontal, with answering these 5 questions, and that's literally it. Quick note, if I could go back in time to that point again when we were gathering testimonials, I would actually do this. I would add incentive for students to submit testimonials by adding a prize. So for example, with the message, I'd say, like, whoever submits a testimonial, whoever hops on a call and does a success interview would be entered into a giveaway to get 1 or 2 free 1-hour lessons with me, Sung-Hee. And then on top of that, I would pair with urgency. So say, like, okay, also deadline is 5 days from now. So you have to submit a testimonial in some form 5 days from now, or you can't be entered for this giveaway. And so the potential result that I imagine that might have had for us would have been to get more testimonials faster. We did pretty good with collecting testimonials, but I think this play might have made it even more effective for us. All right, so now we're on step 5. So far, we've got all of our time back, right? We've gotten our offers figured out, our pricing figured out. We let our customers know about the price increase, and we got really amazing testimonials to help sell our new offers. All right, so now we're gonna go into the 3-step sales process of us getting in contact with potential students, finding out information if they are a good fit for either of the offers, and then 3, making an offer and packaging it and selling it to them. Step 5 is broken into 3 parts. So number 1, chat. DM outreach. Our first order of business was, all right, let's take this power into our own hands. We have a ton of contacts that we can message, and we broke those contacts into 4 groups. Number 1, current customers. These are people who were currently in the group cohort, currently doing one-on-ones with Sung-Hee outside of school. And then honestly, I even put these into, this is basically the people who also were a part of the group classes in the school before we canceled. I pretty much just put them in there because this happened so quick. After we did the free, we moved on to the step. Number 2 with the previous customers. So maybe people who were joined Sung-Hee's school, who Sung-Hee has worked one-on-one or in a group with in the past, that she doesn't work with in any capacity anymore. Those are the second people we wanted to reach out to in order of importance. Number 3 were the current school members. Like I said, when we started working together, she had 250 school members, but only 50 of them were paying. So number 3, the current school members, we had 200 people who weren't paying for anything, so we reached out to them. All of them, sent all of them DMs about working together. And number 4 was we wanted to message her Instagram followers. Those especially engaging with her new posts and stories that we were going to post very, very soon. And the reason why we decided to reach out to people in this order, so once we reached out to all current customers, cross it out, then we moved on to previous students, to cross that out, then we moved on to current school members, etc. The reason why we did that is because we were thinking whoever's most invested, whoever has shown the most investment in the past or right now, are also going to be the most likely to buy. So current customers are already paying for Sung-Hee's time. They're obviously clearly getting value from Sung-Hee. Why not offer them another opportunity to get even more value? Previous students in the past, they don't work with Sung-Hee right now, but they did in the past, they found value in the past, so can we reach out to them again and see if right now is a good time to start working together again? And the school members who were in the group for free, the 200 people who were in the group, in Sung-Hee's group, but weren't previously paying for the group classes like the other 50 people were. These people, I thought this is so awesome about school, is that Sung-Hee having a free school and having these members in allowed them to get closer into proximity to her. This is a more personal with Sung-Hee, right? Like, this is her own community. She's interacting here. She's talking with people way more than she does on Instagram. Even though they weren't getting the classes from Sung-Hee, right? When she was doing the group classes that were only available to her paying members, they are still invested. They still invested their time. They still invested their time to get off social media, to actually take the jump and join this community, and actually take the time to not only join, but actually start interacting in the community. This is just really great. These were warmer leads than the Instagram followers because they were closer to her. And they had already interacted with Sung-Hee before in some capacity because of the community. This was great. So we wanted to make sure we messaged those people before we went to the Instagram followers. And then Instagram followers, they're invested in Sung-Hee because they followed Sung-Hee, they're commenting on her posts, they're engaging, they see her stuff. If they click the follow button, they're investing with their attention. And right now I'm going to show you a general outline of DMs that we use to outreach to these 4 levels of leads. Okay, so step number 1. We wanted to reach out to them and personalize the greeting. So we wanted to use something that we knew about the person as our actual reason to reach out. We wanted to look at their recent Instagram stories, current Instagram stories, current Instagram posts. If it's something about in the past we saw on social media, right? Facebook, X, anything like this, If we saw something they're active on, we wanted to make the reach out relevant. So for example, if they just posted that they had a baby, like, oh my gosh, reach out. Saw that you had a baby, congrats. Like, how's the baby doing? How are you? It's been a while. They'll reply. And then after they reply, we go into step 2. We acknowledge what they said. We say it in our own words. Okay, so let's say like, okay, yeah, I replied, like, yeah, I just had a baby. I have 2 kids now. I'm an accountant. We could say, all right, acknowledge what they said. We went, okay, 2 kids. Now you're an accountant. Got it. And then we went to compliment them. Wow, oh my gosh, 2 kids and an accountant. You're a super mom. And this is, guys, this is an example before you can go farther. This is literally straight out of Alex Hormozi's Leads book, $100 Million Leads. This is the DM outreach framework. This is the ACA framework: acknowledge, compliment, ask. So this is what we followed to outreach to all of these leads. After that, after sending this message right here, 2 kids in account, you're a super mom. Send that message. We basically ask another question based on what they tell us to get closer to our offer, because we're going to pitch them in some capacity. You'll see. So we say, all right, awesome. Wow, that's amazing. How do you have time to work on your Korean with all that? And step 3, have a normal conversation. About 3 to 4 texts back and forth, 3 exchanges. It's just generally nice to hear about these people that Sung-hee maybe have lost contact with, or haven't talked with in a bit. Also is really nice to not just go right into the pitch, right? Not to be so obvious as, oh, the reason I reached out to you was just to pitch you this offer. No, like actually find out more about their life, how they're doing, and just being genuine about that. After 3 to 4 exchanges have been made, we usually moved into something like this. We made an offer. So I'm going to read you the DM that we sent for when we're trying to sell the group cohort, the level 2 group cohort that I mentioned. All right, so we went and said, okay, something like, do you know anybody who can make like simple sentences in Korean but struggles to hold full conversations due to a lack of confidence? Maybe they hesitate or pause when they're speaking, and they want to become conversational in 6 weeks without hesitating or without being embarrassed. If so, I'm launching a Confident Korean Speaking cohort on August 14th with a group of 6 students. And there's actually only 1 spot left, because at that point, when we were sending this message, we actually did fill up 5 spots, and there actually was only 1 spot left. I even guarantee each student's satisfaction with this cohort. If they aren't satisfied with their improvement, I will fully refund them and work with them for free for another 6 weeks to ensure that they are completely satisfied. I just worked with a girl named Ashley, even though she lacked confidence speaking multiple sentences in a row, despite being able to say simple sentences on their own. Do you have anybody who comes to mind who'd be interested in something like that? And so the strategy behind this message is to just make it up front, like, yes, I am selling something. I want to let you know that I'm selling something, but we didn't want to pitch to them directly, right? Like, oh, they're just selling me something. No, we're asking if you know anybody. But of course, we're reaching out to this lead because we do think that they might be interested, right? But we're not going in for that direct approach. We're asking if they know anybody who might be interested, who might fit this type of offer. A couple things could happen after that message. If they say, yes, like that person is me, I'd totally be interested in that. We said, all right, awesome. I'm really happy to hear that. I'd love to hop on a quick call with you to learn more about your goals and if I can really, really help you achieve your goal and solve your problems. Would you be up for that? They'd say yes. And then we'd send them a discovery call link, which I'll go into setting up later. If they said, yes, I do know someone, we'd ask for like a 3-way introduction to get them with us into a group chat. And then we'd proceed from there and work to sending them a discovery call link if they were a good fit. And if the person that we're reaching out to said, no, I don't know anybody, say like, okay, yeah, sounds good. The conversation would just end up fizzling out, thanking them, and then back to DMing more leads. And I put this last step in here. For us, not everybody replied. So we messaged everybody who didn't reply. We made sure to track it on an Excel sheet or something like this. We made sure to track it, and we messaged everybody again who didn't reply. Another message 2 to 3 days later, something along the lines of like, did you get that message okay? Name. Okay, so that's how we reach out to the leads. And I did mention also that we wanted to reach out to those who are engaging with Instagram posts and Instagram stories from our followers. So I'm going to show you some Instagram stories and posts that we made to get basically followers to raise their hand and say like, oh, I'd be interested in this offer. So we could go in and then DM them. So what you're seeing right now is an example story sequence of what we put up one day was, all right, I'm launching a brand new summer Korean group program. The name of the program. I opened up 6 spots for Korean learners who want X goal without, fears or embarrassments. And now I only have 1 spot left. You're interested in becoming fully confident with your speaking, book a call below and let's talk. So that was just a link to a discovery call link, but we also put up a story like, if you want to have real fluid conversation with a native Korean without sounding like a textbook, without being nervous every time you talk, click this button on the story, or like the story, or reply to the story. That was also a really easy way for us to see people who, you know, raise their hands in some way, like, oh, that's me, that aligns with something I want to do right now, to then DM them. So it doesn't have to just look like a straight book to a call link. And here's an example post that we did. So we did how to speak real life Korean in 6 weeks, read below. And then here is the caption. So we did a pretty long post. Here's a 3 simple step system that I made after helping over, you know, proof, level 1, 2, 3. We had a CTA at the end, like comment confidence if you're interested in joining. Because at the end of that post, we gave some value, and then we announced like, hey, we actually are doing a group cohort. Comment below. By the way, we only have 1 more spot, and this closes in 10 days. So that's a post that we put up on her main feed to attract people to, again, anybody who commented, we go in and DM them and hit them with that framework that we just went over for chatting. All right, so now we're on part 2, the discovery call. Hitting the DMs with the leads. They're like, yes, I am interested in the thing you have to offer. We get them on the discovery call. So what is the discovery call? Where we're gonna get 3 pieces of information. We're gonna see where they're at with their Korean, their current situation, how they're learning. We're gonna get their goal with Korean, okay, where they want to end up being, why they're even studying in the first place, and then what problems they're experiencing, what's making it hard for them to achieve that goal with their Korean right now. All right, so let's set up a discovery call link. Okay, so right here, I just have a sample link, discovery call. I use this is a calendar link, so I use an app or a software called Zcal. And so here it is. I name it discovery call, event duration 30 minutes. You can link it to Google Meet or Zoom. Here's the description, just a very simple description I put on the call. I'm going to ask you a few questions about your goals and problems about learning Korean so I can better understand how to help you. Talk to you soon. Pretty simple. Set that up. Time slot increments. For these discovery calls, we never really had it go more than 30 minutes unless they were okay with that and we didn't get the information, but they usually range from 15 to 30 minutes. So just to err on the side of caution, we made the time slot increments 30 minutes. And with the date range, we made it so it was about 3 days in the future. We wanted to get on the call with them ASAP, right? So we only wanted to show a very small time in the future that they could book. And if they couldn't find a time to book, we would figure that out through DMs and find a time that would work. So this is where we set our availability. And our goal was to get on as many conversations as possible, have as many conversations with people as possible so that we had as many possible opportunities to sell them into the group, sell them into the offer or one-on-one group to help them achieve their goal. And so for us, what that meant was opening the availability to as much as possible. You know, the worst thing that we could imagine was, okay, they go on the call link and no times work for them. All right, so Sung-hee set up this very, very wide availability, like Monday through Saturday, if she could, big wide times for people to book in, so she could have the highest chances of lining up a time automatically without having to do some extra DMing to find a special time that works. And then we added qualifying questions as well. All right, so right here we had the Instagram username. You know, so many DMs are going on. We wanted to have them write down the Instagram username so we could easily reference it and contact them when reminding them about their appointments. 12 hours before, 1 day before, anytime within a day before these calls, we wanted to be able to remind them and find their account easily. And then these 2 questions right here. How important is learning to speak Korean without any hesitation or pauses right now? We get them on, they would check super important, kind of important, not important at all. If they check not important at all, we just cancel the call. And we want to work with people who are, and have conversations with people who are actually have this problem and want to solve it now. And we just put on are you 100% sure you're going to be able to make your scheduled time? Just to encourage, like, hey, hopefully you can double check your time so you can actually make it, because we don't want to have a no-show. We want to have as little no-shows as possible. All right, so they booked their discovery call, they're in, and then now we're on the call with them, right? So what we did was we actually just had a document pulled up to run them through a series of questions to find out more about what I referenced earlier, their current situation, their goals, and their problems. And so here's the doc right here for you guys. I'm just going to run you through it from top to bottom. Start the call, start with small talk, ask them where they're from. If it's cool with you, my goal of this call is to find out more about how you're learning Korean right now and what your goal is so that I can get a better idea of how to help you. Would you mind if I asked you a couple questions about that? We wanted to start off the call with that to frame the call, to make sure the call didn't spiral into different directions. We wanted to preface that so they had a clear expectation of what they were getting into. And then just in case, we wanted to say, hey, do you mind if I record? Just don't want to forget anything. Really good to go reference back later. And that's something that we did multiple times. All right, so 2 questions we asked about their current situation. How are you learning Korean right now? After they answer that, what have you tried in the past to learn Korean? The next type of questions we asked were about their goal situation. So what are you trying to achieve with Korean at the moment? Where do you want to be in the next 6 months with Korean? And if you could snap your fingers and change one thing about your situation with Korean, your Korean ability, like what would it be? And then here's a key part. I highlighted this because this is super important. this is where we really found a lot of great info on how to serve, was why is this goal important to you? Why is it important to you in general? And then why is it important for you to solve now in your life, not later? Like, why are you caring about doing this now instead of 6 months from now, instead of 3 months from now? The third section of questions we asked them was about the problem. Like, what are they experiencing right now? What is making them struggle? So what's the hardest part about working on that goal? Whatever they said here, whatever they said about the goal. What are you struggling with the most right now in your Korean practice? And then how does that problem affect your life? And why is that so prominent? Why is that so important? The last thing we asked was, all right, so just to be clear, like if there was a solution to solve that, what would that ideal solution look like to you? And so the goal with that was to get them to describe exactly how they would like to be served or how they would like to be helped. Like what the perfect situation in their mind would be, and then ask them questions on like, why would that be helpful? Why would you like X more than Y? Going more in depth in this question always really helped too. So that's the basic framework of the discovery call that we took them through. And there's no selling on that call. The goal of that call is simply just to understand them as best as possible. And then if they're a good fit, I'm going to BAMFAM them into a sales call. And so BAMFAM stands for book a meeting from a meeting. Sung-hee would ask them, wow, okay, sounds good. I have a good idea of how to help you, but I want to organize my thoughts. Would you mind if we hopped on another call really soon to talk about what it would look like for us to work together more in depth? You know, we get them on the call right there just to make sure it's set. We set the meeting in their calendar. And so from there, we'd either send a sales call booking link, which we did most of the time, or we'd just figure it out for them. Like, okay, hey, what's a good another day for you? Like, how about tomorrow at 12? How does that work for you? Something like that. Right now, I'm going to show you how we made the sales call link that we would send to these potential future students at the end of these discovery calls. Right here, it's called one-to-one call. I mentioned this, I was like, okay, we definitely don't want to call it sales call because that's just not going to look that good in somebody else's calendar. So we just want to make it something that you know it's a sales call, but it just looks like a regular call. So one-on-one call is an example of something that we did. In this call, we're going to find out if we're a good fit to work together. Pretty simple description. Set your availability, set your days. We set the time increment for this call, the sales call, to be an hour, and we chose a date range to be 7 days in the future. So we want to get them on a call as fast as possible, but we also recognize that this is a longer meeting. It's also going to take us some more time to prepare the proposal for the offer for them specifically, based on the information we just found out about them in the discovery call. So we need a little more time for that. So we 7 days in the future, that works best for us. We set the availability again as wide as we possibly could. And here are the custom questions. Do you want support getting to your goal with Korean? Do you have the final say on making the decision to invest in improving your Korean? This qualifies their authority. See if they're actually the person even in control of their financial decisions. So you can see the options here. Yes, I have full control of my choice to financially invest. No, but the person who does will be on the call with me. And number 3 is like, I'd like to reschedule the call to ensure the decision maker can be present. There's no option that says, no, they won't be on the call, but it's fine, because we want them on the call there. The third question is, this is not your typical pay by the hour class. This is you and I working closely together for 8 weeks to achieve your dream goal in Korean. This is not cheap. Are you ready to invest in your Korean learning? This is to qualify them that if they have the budget. We wanted to get on calls with people who we knew had the money. To even be more specific, we actually put a price range just for like the group offer. This is going to be in between $300 and $700. Are you ready to invest in your Korean learning? And so that right there, like the price that we offered that was for $647. So it was very close to the top end, right? But it just gives them a range. And I thought this was cool because they come into the call knowing that it's going to cost a certain range of money. If they say, no, I don't have the money to invest right now, even after seeing the range like that, then it's just cancel the call. And the last question is, again, are you 100% sure you can attend the time and day you schedule this call? We wanted to make sure they're showing up. We didn't want any no-shows. We're sending reminders to them 1 day before, 12 hours before, 6 hours before. Right after that, after qualifying questions, the only thing I edit is this right here, minimum notice. Minimum notice, we put 1 day because we wanted to have at least 1 day to get a proposal ready. They now booked for a sales call. So now what we have to do in the meantime is actually create an offer for them based off all the information that we just found out in the discovery call. All right, so synthesizer template. Big shout out to Synthesizer. The discovery call framework, the sales call framework that I'm about to show you guys, this offer checklist, this process of creating offers and packaging them and then pitching them, this all came from a free community that I'm in on School called Synthesizer. I'll drop the link below for you guys to join if you're interested. You can also message me on Instagram. I'll leave that below if you want to see any of these templates and get them for yourself. We now have the information from the discovery call sheet. We have our notes, right? So we pulled those up and we just reference those in filling out each question here. Person's name, boom, details about the person. What problem do I solve for them? Now that we have, from our discovery call, we have their list of problems. We went in depth. We found out why they're painful, why it's important for them to solve them. We list all of them right here. Right here, what dream outcome can I help them reach? We have notes on their dream goals and the thing they want to actually achieve with Korean. We write down all that here. All right, so for the mechanism, how will you deliver the dream outcomes? They literally told us the ideal solution that they'd like to have to solve their problems. We asked them that question, they gave us that information. So with all that information, we look at the problems they're having, and we thought really hard about what we can do on our end to provide an excellent solution that not only blows that problem out of the water, but gets them to their goal in the fastest possible way. We come up with a time frame. Like I said, the group offer was 6 weeks, the one-on-one was 8 weeks. We decided on the price. For one-on-one, it was $1,300, and for the group, it was $647. And we had our proof already collected from the previous step. So this is the sheet that we referenced for actually making the offer. So now we have all the information put out in there. The next step for us was to actually package it for this specific person. This is really quick. It's just the outline that I got from Synthesizer as well. This is the bare bones, fill in the blank, plug and play like template that we used, that we modeled the packaging off of. As you can see, it takes them through what the promise is that we're going to work on with them, like what we promise to solve for them, the problems that they're having, the path that we're going to take to solve their problems and to get them to their dream solution. And then at the bottom, we have how much it's gonna cost, what we're also providing on top of what we mentioned in the path right here. After that, we'd probably throw in a guarantee as well. So now I'm gonna show you exactly what a real pitch looked like for us. All right, cool. So now that we created the offer, we are now packaged the offer. We now have this whole thing filled out according to the template we just showed. Now we're on the sales call with the prospect. Now we're on the sales call with the potential student. Small talk, and then Sung-hee would say something like, hey, last time we spoke, we talked about how I might be able to help you overcome problems that they listed to get you to their goal that they said to you. That they said to us. Today, I'd like to take you through the process of how I can help you with that. And at the end of the call, you can decide if you want to move forward and we can work together or not. Sound good? All right, cool. And then at this point, Sung-hee would share her screen and then just read this proposal from top to bottom. So I'm just gonna go through this pretty quickly. So a proposal to help Sarah achieve goal so that she can benefit, so that she can insert reason why the goal is important to her. By Sung-hee, August 5th, outline, promise, problem, path. Promise, you will get everything you need to confidently have conversations in Korean so that you can. Desired outcomes, goals, reasons why she mentioned she wanted to even achieve goals in the first place without all the problems holding her back, all the struggles that she's having. And then we'd say, does that sound right? They say yes. All right, move on to the second part. So then we go into more depth about the problem. So right here, we're figuring out, based on the information we found out from the discovery call, like your biggest problem is XYZ. This is also the other pains it's causing you right here. The worst part is you're capable of achieving X goal, but you haven't been able to find, maybe insert mechanism that they literally told us prior. And then we wanted to relate with Sung-hee's own personal experience, right? The reason why Sung-hee could really, really help is not because she learn Korean from scratch, but because she is talking with them in English right now, her second language. Like she's already been through the ringer and learning a second language and getting really good at it. At this point in the pitch, we're telling them how, we've been in your same position, because Sung-hee literally was. Because at the end of the day, Sung-hee had every single problem that any of these prospects were having, because she went through every single one before. Confidence, saying things fluidly, hesitating, pausing. She went through all of this with English. And making sure to communicate this was really important for us to make sure they realize, like, oh, okay, this teacher not only is not gonna just help me, but she really understands me because she really went through these same problems herself. All in all, it took Sung-hee 8 years to be confident in her English, to really feel like she was able to connect with her friends. From there, she's saying, once I finally figured out for myself, I went from having similar pain as a prospect, because she did, and then to reaching a similar desired goal that the prospect wants, because she did. So instead of spending a ton of time like I did figuring out by yourself, I'm gonna get you there in 8 weeks with my one-to-one Korean coaching. All right, so now we're in the path, and I'm actually gonna reference the outline instead of the actual things that we wrote here. But real quick, the path, we had a 3-phase, we showed her a 3-phase plan. And this is just generally like what Sung-hee was thinking, like, okay, here's what we're gonna do first, then after that, we're gonna go do X, and then after that, we're gonna do Y. All right, and we didn't get super detailed. Like you're gonna notice in here that we didn't get super detailed of how every little thing is gonna go, because at the end of the day, we couldn't plan for literally everything. So we wanted to provide a plan, but not promise any specific detail, because it would have been impossible for us to predict that that's going to happen, because life happens. Part of coaching is working with students of where they're at in life. Sometimes that some crazy thing happens in their life, they have to pull back. We realize it's up to the coach, Sung-hee, to deal with that problem and also work with them where they're at. So this is really the framework we used. Most people, when they get started, have painful problem that they mentioned, which causes negative consequence that we know from personal experience. Sung-hee knows personal experience. So in the very first week, we will do XYZ, which will let you achieve outcome that they wanted on the discovery call so that you can insert benefit of something they talked about on the call. Same thing for phase 2, same thing for phase 3. I'm not gonna read word for word what we said here, but you guys can just feel free to just pause the screen, go down, and then read on your own. So during the path also, Sung-Hee might have sometimes said at the end of phase 1, for example, does that sound good to you? Just to confirm that they're still there, they're still listening. If they have any questions to bring up, they would say that right there. At the end of phase 3, do you have any questions about that? Prompt them to start asking questions. We wanted to give them chances during this proposal to talk, to voice their questions, voice their concerns, instead of having it all come out at the end. And after showing the path, we went into showing testimonials. So students I've worked with, we didn't include videos in this section because we didn't want to show 10 videos on a Zoom call. It would just take way too long. So we just did before and after. I also put their names here, but I didn't want to include them for this video. Before and after situation, before, struggling, staying consistent, after, I can now understand what my girlfriend or mom are saying now with ease, and I can talk to them too. That's epic. Showing the awesome testimonials that Sung-Hee has had. And now this is when we brought up the price. Sung-Hee would just read this off. In the future, I plan to charge X, but I'd love to offer you this for Y, so you can XYZ, achieve goals, overcome problems. And in this particular proposal, Sung-Hee couldn't work with this person until September 5th, so they paid in full, but they're gonna get started on that date. I'm planning on increasing prices in September, but if you commit today, then we can stick with the $1,300 price point and have you all set to start next month. And as a bonus, I'm also including benefits, 90-minute one-on-one weekly calls with me, daily direct contact with me, and then top 25 Korean expression phrase book. I probably could have done a better job coming up with the names for these. I wrote everything for this pitch. I probably could have done a better job with the naming, but is what it is. So at the end of this pitch, Sung-Hee would read the investment details, boom, read the bonuses, and then would just stop talking and then wait for them to say something and then have a dialogue, answer any questions, any concerns, do some objection handling right there. And at the end of the call, if the person was still not really sure, Sung-Hee would pull in a guarantee. So Sung-Hee would say something like, if there was an opportunity, a full safety net that existed, that if you weren't satisfied at all with your experience at any point, you could get 100% of your money refunded to you at any point, even on the last day of the program. Would you be interested in finding more about adding that condition to this program? They'd say yes. And then Sung-Hee would just read this guarantee. If you're not satisfied with the progress you made in 5 weeks, not after 8 weeks, but in just 5 weeks, I will refund you all the money, finish the rest of the 8 weeks with you, and work with you one-on-one for free for another 8 weeks, no questions asked, provided you come to all the weekly meetings and then do all the work, right? The only reason I'm giving you this guarantee is because I want you to have an incredible experience and because I'm very confident that you'll be super happy with your new Korean level at the end of the 8 weeks. So if they're on the edge and they're like, I'm still not sure, it's probably a price thing. I'm still not sure about it. We come in with the guarantee, and then that's how how Sung-Hee ended up closing a couple people, was actually throwing this guarantee in. Boom, they're like, all right, let's do it. Cash collected, awesome. All right, guys, so that was all 8 steps. We were selling 2 offers at the same time, so just to clarify how we worked with that. In the DMs, or in the discovery call, if we're having to talk with somebody, are you interested in working one-on-one? If they mentioned they wanted to do group, or like if they said something about the price, like I don't know if I'm gonna be able to invest, then we'd say, okay, and hey, no problem. If we thought they'd be a good fit for the group program, we'd be like, hey, would this option be ready for you? Would this be more suited to your wants? Would this be more suited to the way you like to work, with groups, or would this be more suited to your price point, to the amount of money you have ready to invest? And that's how we would do that, to kind of balance selling the 2 offers at the same time. Because we wanted to offer the one-on-one most up front, get the most cash up front. And actually, as the deadline was getting closer to the group offer, because it was going to start on a certain date, we had to switch most of the outreach to selling the group offer to make sure we actually filled that out. The results we got in 35 days, we had an increase in $7,782 in sales. We sold out the group cohort. We did 6 sales at $647. We sold 3 one-on-ones. So we got 3 sales at $1,300. And including the time it was going to take to deliver on these group cohorts and 3 one-on-ones week per week, we still saved her over 56 hours in a total month. All right. So we also got stronger testimonials collected. We had a clear positioning and a clear system of how to outreach and then package and sell an offer. One thing to note was most sales came through DMs and calls and not posts. Most of these actually sales came through messaging people who are in the school community or have been previous customers of Sung-Hee before, or were actually current ones at the time. Those were our results. But again, before we started working together, she was doing 80+ hours of calls per month. She was spread very, very thin on time for delivery and spread super thin on time for actually scaling up the business to make drastic increases in the amount of money she was making. And then after we started working together, she collected $7,782 in 35 days. Started working with only 9 people instead of just like 50 plus, like 60, around 60 people. And she now transitioned to about 6 hours a week of calls. So awesome transformation. I'm really stoked about it. Finally, I want to touch on the next steps of what we're thinking about doing in the foreseeable future. We were basically able to achieve this result without exactly niching down on a specific avatar. We had a specific desired outcome for the group cohort, which was like speaking Korean with native speakers without hesitation or pausing conversation. But we didn't have a specific outcome for the one-on-ones. All 3 people Sung Hee is working with want to get better at Korean, but what the success looks like as a result of getting better is different. You know, in the discovery call, they all describe different goals, describe different reasons why reaching those goals are even important to them in the first place. And the reason I'm bringing these 3 things up is because, yes, it's great that Sung Hee's able now to provide a very specific solution to these 3 specific people based on their specific goals and problems, but it also takes a lot of time because there's some overlap between the solutions that she's giving them, but each person is needing different materials, different types of guidance because their goals are completely different. Their situations are completely different. Their level of Korean is also going to be way different. So there's going to be a lack of overlap there. So that just makes it a little harder for Sung Hee to deliver on everybody at the same time. And also because we don't have a current niche right now that we're dedicated to solving problems for, it's much harder to position ourselves as different than any other Korean teachers. To position Sung Hee in the best way possible to attract the type of customer that she really loves working with and the type of customer that she can get exceptional results for. So I hope this helped. If you stuck to the end of this video, I really appreciate it. I've been out here sitting down for so long. My butt is actually really hurting, so I'm happy this is over. But if you're watching this and you want help implementing any of the things that I went over, just book a call with me in the link below. You're going to find my calendar link, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.